Savannah Guthrie has just posted a new video. Let's listen.
We received your message, and we understand. We beg you now to return our mother to us so that we can celebrate with her. This is the only way we will have peace. This is very valuable to us, and we will pay.
I got nightmares in my head, I fear thoughts build up until I can't feel. My mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper. I got nightmares in my head, I fear.
Well, it's the moment of truth. If the ransom demands are real, now is the time for the kidnappers to stand up and claim it. And in order for them to claim, they are going to have to prove that they have Nancy and that she's alive. Now the question is, can they? And is she alive?
But I've got to tell you, I don't think this is about money. It just seems to be about torturing this family.
Yeah, tell me more. Tell me more about that when you say that.
Now, this is the first time I've heard anyone else suggest that this isn't about money, that the motive may be about hurting Nancy. Jennifer Coffindaffer, an ex-FBI agent, also emphasizes what a typical kidnapping scenario looks like, and I gotta tell you, this isn't that. But before we get to that, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. If you're finding this analysis worthwhile, please do hit the thanks button, and let's get started.
In a kidnapping scenario, the kidnapper typically truly cares about the money, so they make contact early before law enforcement is involved. They don't ever involve the media.
Did you get that? And let's put those words on screen. They don't ever involve the media. Kidnappings are typically resolved very quickly. We're also not seeing that here.
So that they can hopefully get money in a reasonable amount soon. But instead, they sent these notes to the media. And by the way, they sent 2 notes to the local media. Then later, 12 hours later, I think when they weren't getting the media play they hoped, they sent another note to TMZ.
So if time is the one anomaly in terms of this case, the other one is the lack of discretion.
Natasha, this just seems like screaming for attention.
In genuine kidnapping scenarios, kidnappings are typically very private. Why? Because there's a very real risk if the victim's family go public that the kidnapped person presents a real danger to the perpetrator, so much so that the risk to continue harboring them becomes far too dangerous. And there are many cases where kidnapped victims are killed as a result of the scrutiny, such as the Lindbergh case. And that case actually involved, I think, something like 13 ransom notes. Also, another very famous case, the kidnapping and murder of university student Lee Matthews, which is one of the most famous kidnapping cases in South Africa. Annie Dewani is another case. By the way, kidnapping is big business in South Africa. There are an average of over 1,000 kidnappings a month in South Africa. Actually, that's an old statistic. That's gone up to 1,300 a month now. According to some metrics, a child goes missing every 4 to 5 hours in South Africa. Some years ago, Britain's Sherlock Holmes star Benedict Cumberbatch was kidnapped in South Africa as well. So if anyone knows what a typical kidnapping is, it's us here in South Africa. And they're almost always done and settled privately, quietly and privately, especially when law enforcement are involved. It's just unheard of that you would send a ransom demand to the media, because all that does is it shines the light back onto the perpetrator. So this, what we're seeing, is amateur hour. Genuine kidnappings are discreet. And I think the JonBenet Ramsey case and the McCann case, those cases have contaminated the narrative. That is what people think something typical looks like when it isn't. That is the way you don't behave, either with the police or in terms of the media, when you're dealing with a genuine situation, when a criminal has someone in their custody and you want to resolve the situation in everyone's favor. So are we going to have answers on Monday? Coffindaffer highlights the contradiction here in what Trump says about things being solved soon and the sheriff's sentiments about there being no suspect at this stage.
We have some things I think that will maybe come out reasonably soon from DOJ or FBI or whoever that could be a suspect. Yeah, could be definitive.
Is he right? Are we going to have an arrest soon? Is there a suspect that's just been, that information has just been withheld from us? And if you read the tea leaves, you can see that this simply isn't the case. As you'll hear now in a moment, Coffindaffer highlights the fact that they've kind of gone back to the drawing board. They've gone back to the house. They've gone back to search. You get the sense that they really are grasping at straws at this point. In other words, that we're probably not going to be hearing from any kidnappers about any ransom.
What do you read into the president's statements here?
Well, I tell you what, it was such a juxtaposition as to the sheriff's position in this case. I mean, when you listened just hours earlier to the sheriff say, no suspects, everyone's a suspect, we don't know, then you see the reward going up to $50,000. You see a complete reinvestigation.
And this reinvestigation demonstrates that law enforcement are struggling to get a handle on this case.
Recanvassing, 2 times they go back and search. It doesn't look like they have the answers that the president speaks of.
Now, you'll note that the agent doesn't weigh in on the motive, even if it isn't financial. I have, and as far as I know, I'm the only one that has thus far suggested that we may be dealing with a political motive given Nancy's social media posts, especially on Facebook. I've already posted a video on that early on. Many of you scoffed at that. It's probably going to take a little while for people to come around. I do believe on Monday, that's day 9 going into day 10, we will know one way or another if this was a kidnapping for ransom or not. I hope it is. I hope it is, because if it is, then Nancy has value for the abductor. But the blood on the porch always suggested the opposite. And if this was a politically motivated attack, then I'm afraid the chance of a happy ending here is virtually zero. I know that is not what anyone wants to hear, but the question really is, what happened here? Not what do we want to have happened here? Well, I guess time will tell. And the time is fast approaching. Monday will be D-Day, where we'll find out one way or the other. Anyway, I'm not going to take it further than that. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys next time.